Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. So it is that time of year again to be planting summer annuals in containers, in the ground, whatever. And so I wanted to show you at my mom's house all of the containers that we're going to be planting up for this year. I also am going to be planting up a couple hanging baskets at my dad's, but I'm going to make a separate video on that. So stay tuned for that video. That's going to come out probably at some other later date shortly. But I just wanted to show you all the plants that I have for today. We'll plant them and then I'll show you where they all ended up going. So we've got 4 different projects, so I have all these plants lined up for today. So first is going to be these 2 containers right here, which have pansies in them. I'm going to transplant those pansies to a shady location, so hopefully they can do okay throughout the summer. But we're going to be planting 3 things in those containers. For vertical interest, we're going to be doing Prince Tut, these type of annual grasses. So these would be the Prince Tut. And then I have these sweet potato vines called Raven. You can see those right there. And then the last thing is going to be a Supertunia Jazzberry. I believe these are new to either last year or this year. I think it's the first time that I've seen them, so I'm really excited to grow these. So these 3 will go in those 2 pots over there. Next up, we have somewhat of a shady container. It's not going to be full shade, but it gets more shade than it does sun, so I like to do more shady plants in there. So we have 1 type of begonia, but 3 plants. It's called Selenia Yellow, I believe. We're going to go for kind of like a purple and yellow theme this year. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then for a trailer, because this is a hanging basket I'm going to be planting them in, these are the Silver Falls type of accent plant. So I have 2 of those right there. I'm hoping that these 2 plants will get quite large, but they didn't have many at the garden center, and I didn't want to take all of them, so I think that'll be okay for now. And then the last thing over here, these are going to be the 3 patio containers that we have in the back. They're kind of like long vertical containers, and they don't have a lot of they're not very deep, so I can't plant a whole lot in them. But last year we planted 3 Dracaenas in them, and those did flawlessly. They grew so much last year, so we're going to repeat that since we had so much success with it. And then we have 2 types of plants. Here's the Luscious Pinkberry blend from Proven Winner, so it's a Lantana. And then the other plant is going to be a Sparkling Amethyst, I believe it's called. Superbena Sparkling Amethyst. Yep, we got those. And then the last thing, I really wanted to attract hummingbirds this year, and this doesn't really fit in with the rest of everything else, so I'm just going to plant it in its own container, but I have a Vermilion Air right here, so this will just go by itself. So I'm going to transplant those pansies to a shady location, and we'll plant everything up. Okay, so I realized that I never finished this video, and it's about a week later, so some stuff has actually grown a little bit from when I planted it, but hey, at least you can see kind of a week later what everything looks like. So why don't we go through a tour of everything that I planted today, and you can see how much it's changed in the last week. First of all, I wanted to mention that I also got this black petunia, which is super cool. It's not a Supertunia or Crazy Tunia or anything like that, so we still have to deadhead this, but just really cool. Looking at these front 2 steps, you can see just how perfect they look right now. I love the Prince Tut grass. That's like my favorite thing we've done so far in these containers. But you could see the Prince Tuts are doing really well here. We have the Raven, this is going to take a little bit of time to, start to grow. Once it gets heat, then it'll really start to vine out. But I'm going to try to pinch it back so that way it grows more of like a clump and not so much just an individual vine. But we have the Vista Jazzberry, which you can already see has filled out quite a bit and has a number of flowers. It's getting there, but it definitely it'll produce quite a few more flowers and start to spill over. And then it's the same story here with this. You can see that the Prince Tut has grown. I want to say these 3 spikes here are pretty new. They've grown quite a bit since I planted it. Same thing, this plant is doing pretty well. And then the Jazzberry, not as many flowers on this one, but you can see this started opening today. There's a couple more, so it'll start to fill out pretty quick. All right, and then walking over here, you can see that this silver falls has already covered quite a good portion of the front of this pot. And then the begonias are still doing pretty well. I'm hoping the flowers can start to kind of grow out of the leaves a little bit more, but I'm sure with time that'll continue to happen. But this is looking good as well. All right, we're gonna start off with this over here. So here's the lantana planter that I did. The lantana has struggled a little bit, and I will say, I think the main reason why is because we got these in the greenhouse from the garden center. So like you can see that burned quite a bit. It's a little hard to tell on camera, but it's actually like a grayish black color. But these are fine. They're totally gonna make it. The other thing too is we've gotten a lot of really cool temperatures, like days in like the 60s and 70s, and lantana wants really warm temperatures. So they're just they're going to sit for a little while until we start to get like 80 or 90-degree days. But the Dracaena spike is doing well, and this has had a couple more blooms, so those plants are going to be fine. The vermillionaire that's down here is also doing well. I don't think it's changed a whole lot since I planted it, but it's all budded up. There's so many more branches that are going to grow, so this will fill up this pot in no time. Looking over here, just so that way you can get an idea of how this deck is set up. We have the verbena, which the verbena has done really well. I don't know how much this has grown in the last week or so, but what's cool is that these flower spikes, they're really sticking up out of the pot. Like if you look at it from the side, they're really sticking up. So they're very noticeable, even though there's not a whole lot of flowers in there. This is doing well. It's a little crooked, but I guess I can fix that. And then the same story goes for this side too. This is doing well. Look at all these buds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's so many more. So these are starting to fill out pretty well too. All right, and the last thing we have are these pansies that I transplanted. I also will add that these pansies, I added a bag of topsoil and a bag of composted manure to this bed because it's so rocky. I planted tulips here 2 years ago. They came up well the first year, but they didn't come up well the second year. And I think it's just because there's so many roots around this tree. But I added a bag of each, so it helps at least a little bit. And then what's nice too, I don't know if I mentioned this before, this is actually irrigated from the grass sprinklers. So those will be watered pretty well, but we've been hand watering them too. But they look pretty good. I think they've transplanted pretty well. All right, so that's pretty much it. These are going to be growing on. If you're interested to see how all these plants end up growing throughout the summer, I'll be posting at least one garden tour somewhat soon, and maybe another one at the end of the summer before I leave. So I'll be able to show you an update on how all these plants are doing throughout the summer. But again, we're just going to water them every day for the most part. Unless we get like a lot of rain, then we're not going to water it for that day. And then just fertilizing once a week and keeping up on that schedule. And I'm using right now here the Miracle Grow Bloom Booster. That's what I'm going to be using here. At my dad's house, I have the Proven Winners Bloom Booster, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but the water soluble fertilizer. So either one of those works great. There's also some other options. But yeah, so besides that, I hope you guys like this video. I hope it inspires you for some ideas for what you can do. And also I wanted to add, I also am going to be posting a video soon on 2 hanging baskets I'll be doing at my dad's house with some other annuals. So if you want to see some other ideas, then feel free to check out that video as well. But I don't know if this one's going to go out first or the other one. All right, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.